In this video, we're going to discuss the mysterious character AGA, never before seen beta content from the Demon Shaft, the mysterious Dark Cloud 1.5, the deleted playable character Seda's involvement. We even reached out to level 5 staff for an interview regarding the elusive Demon Shaft and the secret of AGA. The answers will surprise you. This video is full of lost beta material. You'll want to watch to the very end, only on the Dark Cloud Compendium. Hey there, and welcome to the Dark Cloud Compendium. I'm your host, Hidden Castle. Before we begin, if you enjoy Dark Cloud Lost Media and lore videos, consider subscribing to my Dark Cloud channel and hitting that like button. It really does help the channel grow. And many thanks to my patrons over at patreon.com/hiddencastle for helping fund these Dark Cloud deep dive videos. Without them, none of this would be possible. The link to my Patreon can be found in the description below. Gather around, Dark Cloud community. There are few things more terrifying than the fear of the unknown. Questions that don't have answers, lore with no true ending. I briefly touched on these topics previously on the channel and even on my Dark Cloud iceberg, but they truly deserve their own episode. The Chronicle swords and Demon Shaft went through a troubled development cycle. They inhabit a lost page in Dark Cloud's development history. It begs the question, who created the Demon Shaft and its assets, and who was initially going to wield the Chronicle sword? It's unknown if this area was created by the initial Japanese developers over at level 5, or if it was created by the localization team over at Sony as they were providing assistance as the game was being developed in Japan. The Demon Shaft's landmass seems to be reused as it bears a striking resemblance to the floating continent seen in Dark Cloud's beta Tokyo Game Show 1999. Now this rabbit hole goes even further as the Demon Shaft itself can be seen on the 1999 beta map around this desert-looking town, perhaps an early version of Muskalaka, meaning that the Demon Shaft could very well be one of the first dungeons ever conceived. As I was exploring the files on Dark Cloud's DVD, I was surprised to discover this unused texture depicting a beta Demon Shaft dungeon, an earlier version of its antiquated structures and somber hallways. Now this texture would have been used when you traversed from one dungeon level to the other. It was updated with the final version we see in the game. However, this beta version, it really makes you think of what could have been. And that begs the question, Dark Cloud community, did you finish the Demon Shaft? Growing up, I was never able to, but I did so later on. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section down below. Let's get the conversation going. Unlike other weapons in Dark Cloud, the two Chronicle swords both went through a very interesting development cycle, as beta versions of these two swords have been discovered, both their 2D sprites and 3D models. Interestingly, Cuboid Pixel accidentally discovered the 3D model as he was playing through the Dark Cloud item randomizer. After retrieving this beta version of the Chronicle sword, when he entered his weapon menu, it reverted to the final design, almost as if the very game itself knows that this is just not meant to be. Throughout Dark Cloud's development, several changes took place. One notable change being the removal of a playable character. That character was Seda, as he was later replaced with Osmond and relegated to a non-playable NPC character. We do know that work did go into playable Seda, as remnants of his data can still be found in the game files. So looking at these rather large beta Chronicle sword designs, it makes you wonder if Seda was initially going to wield them. The evidence being that the model of playable Seda that we have in the game files is wielding a large broadsword. Having these large beta Chronicle broadswords for Tone wouldn't have made sense for his tiny little arms, hence the redesign into what we see in the final version of the game. The Chronicle 2 was a reward for overcoming the never-ending Demon Shaft. Its amber-soaked hallways and sepia-toned liminal spaces gave way to the greatest challenge for the ultimate competitor, being the Black Knight Pendragon. The sense of melancholy in this fight is palpable as the player slowly comes to terms that Tone is face to face with very well could be his absent father, confronting the evil that he's become in an effort to redeem him, to pull him from the dark. The parallel of Tone going on his own hero's journey, leaving home, and even traveling to the shifting sands of Muskalaka, where AGA once walked many years ago as he left the sentient golem Gosuke to guard the legendary Sun Sword for his own family member to discover, to aid them on their journey. It's ironic as Tone didn't leave Norin Village alone as he left with his cat companion Xiao, only to find his father mounting a giant tiger, his own animal companion. And this is significant as it's only through Xiao and Steve that the game reveals the possible connection between Tone and the Dark Knight, although it's left vague for the player's interpretation, as Steve will mention that Xiao's master might recognize the Black Knight. Now with a line as vague as this, what I would usually do is refer back to the Japanese version, as that's the version that the developers made themselves, untouched by localizers. The only issue is that the Demon Shaft and the Dark Knight Pendragon are only available in the international versions, meaning that we have no primary source to refer to. One can't bring up the topic of the Demon Shaft without mentioning Dark Cloud 1.5. Now some of you may be wondering, what exactly is Dark Cloud 1.5? When I began creating videos for the Dark Cloud Compendium in 2018, I remember in October of that same year, Dark Cloud creator Akihiro Hino gave an interview with the gaming publication Siliconera, where he name-dropped that mysterious Dark Cloud game. I never heard of it before. A Dark Cloud game the community never really considered, Dark Cloud 1.5. Now, what exactly is Dark Cloud 1.5? Here it is, told to us by the series creator himself. Quote, "We were fortunate that our first game as a developer was a hit right after we finished with the development of Dark Cloud. After Sony Computer Entertainment saw how complete it was, they immediately said, let's do a next one. So we began working on something that would be a sequel to the Dark series, while we were in the middle of developing Dark Chronicle. Titled Dark Cloud 2 in the US, we released an overseas version of Dark Cloud. However, the overseas version had a system that was made for Dark Cloud 2 in it that basically makes the overseas version something of a Dark Cloud 1.5, end quote. Now, keeping that in mind, that level 5 were adding the refined features from Dark Chronicle's early development into the localized versions of Dark Cloud. It casts the Demon Shaft in a new light, as many of the dungeon's exclusive enemies were later seen in Dark Chronicle, only here in Dark Cloud in this very early beta form. The Demon Shaft created this connection, a bridge between Dark Cloud 1.5 and the game's sequel that we would play later on in the years to come, Dark Cloud 2. And that connection between Dark Cloud 1.5's Demon Shaft and Dark Chronicle goes even deeper than refined gameplay mechanics and familiar beta enemies. Dark Chronicle's initial Japanese release was being developed while Dark Cloud 1.5 was being localized for international markets. As told to us by Akihiro Hino's interview, it has come to the attention of fans of the series that the battle theme for Dark Cloud 2 shares many similarities to the Dark Knight Pendragon's theme from Dark Cloud 1.5 due to that development overlap. It's possible that composer Tomohito Nishihura used an early composition for Dark Chronicle's battle theme and repurposed it to being the Dark Knight Pendragon's boss theme in Dark Cloud 1.5. Let's take a listen. Can you hear the similarities? Let me know in the comments. With that being said, it's time for some Dark Cloud Compendium investigative journalism. Throughout the Dark Cloud Compendium's history, we had the honor of interviewing Dark Cloud 2 voice actors, singers, and even level 5 developers anonymously. If these interviews sound interesting to you, and believe me, they most definitely are, feel free to check out our back catalog of Dark Cloud interviews over on the Dark Cloud Compendium YouTube channel. And while you're at it, if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button, silly. You're already this far along in the video. When reaching out to my sources regarding the Demon Shaft and AGA, I asked them exactly who created the assets for the Demon Shaft, whether that be Sony Computer Entertainment of Japan and Level 5, the initial developers, or rather, the localizers, as the Demon Shaft was exclusively playable in the international versions. They told me that they don't recall exactly who made those assets, as it's been more than 20 years. However, they did confirm that they never made any 3D models or concept art for AGA, only the Dark Knight Pendragon. That AGA was no more than a story embellishment added in to expand the world, but the Dark Knight was created to give players a sense of finality. Finally, when asking if AGA and the Dark Knight Pendragon are one and the same, they chose not to answer, enabling the mystery to survive for years to come within our Dark Cloud community. Now, I'm gonna be honest, Castle Maniacs, this area, it really is special because it's one of the only areas of video games I could think of that's inadvertently scary. It's not trying to be horror, but there's a sense of mystery and dread that's palpable all around the area itself. The Demon Shaft really did scare me as a child. This dreamlike tower, empty and desolate, the clouds refusing to move in parallax with the wind, time itself stops as if there's no day and night cycle, all with a strong feeling of discomfort, alone with this sense of isolation. No diorama and no villagers. When entering the tower, we're greeted by a sculpture of a lonely warrior carved into the moss-covered walls. The only other thing we see resembling a person is this washed-out, lifeless marble face. Could this be made to represent AGA? Just who built this tower? And what exactly happened here? The word Chronicle can be defined as an account of historical events. Sadly, history happens, and with a blink of an eye, it disappears. If we don't make an effort to preserve it, then it could very well become lost to the sands of time. And here we are, even after 20 years, still thinking about the Chronicle Sword, the elusive Demon Shaft, and the lonely knight who walked its halls. Is the Dark Knight Pendragon AGA? I would like to think so. The idea of a father passing on the torch to his son is poetic. At the same time, I do respect how the developers kept this answer vague, as the world needs more mystery out there, and some mysteries will remain forever unsolved. Thank you for visiting the Dark Cloud Compendium. My name's Hidden Castle, and I'll see you in the next one.
This video is made possible by amazing viewers like you and contributions from our generous patrons. Thank you.
The World of the Compendium is a Patreon-supported show. These deep dive videos would not be possible if not for the support of all my generous patrons. I'm forever grateful. Patrons are able to get a behind-the-scenes look with how these videos are created and get to help support the channel. With that being said, many thanks to my viewers and patrons, both new and old alike, for all the support. It's our combined passion for obscure RPGs that keeps the show going strong. The link to the Patreon can be found in the description below. Many thanks to my Compendium Chroniclers, GD Break, Waposa, Anna, Story Lover, Ryan7, Weeb Warrior. Many thanks to our Moon Sea Mega supporters who have a message to the community. While Moon Sea Mega supporter GD Break did not have a message for the Dark Cloud community this month, I did want to say happy Halloween to everybody in our Dark Cloud community, and I wanted to say thank you to my channel viewers and my patrons over at patreon.com. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for sticking with me through thick and through thin. It really does mean the world that I'm able to share this passion for Dark Cloud with other passionate fans of the series. We really are stronger together, and we're going to come together and make something very special because we're the best community out there, and that's a guarantee.